Call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning.
We have a couple changes to the agenda. Steve, do you want to?
Mr. Chairman, I do. Consent agenda first, item number 2, under auditor's warrant, change the date from 5/6 of 22 to 5/9 of 22 on the date on that one. And item 3, commissioners warrants, just a notice on the first batch that came out to you on Friday in your packets. We had a double bill to Stoughton Evink. Law enforcement put in a bill for the repair, and also buildings and plant did, so for $1479.97, so one of those will be removed. And then the other one in the there was an appropriation made to Area 2 River Basin and also to Redwood Cotton RCRCA for their annual appropriations. Actually, I paid those by invoices earlier in the year when they came in through Kyle's office. So those appropriations are scratched. So there'll be a deduct on the total. And then we also do have add-on warrants today of $20,175.63. And Jody brought that down for you this morning to look at. The Friday vouchers didn't have any road and bridge on them. Finance person was out that day, so Jody got the bills done on Monday. At 9:30 a.m., please delete Michelle Baumhoffner from ACE Advocate Connect Educate. She had a family emergency and is unable to attend today, and we'll reschedule her at another time. And in her place, we'll add Sheriff Keith Vreeman to discuss a K-9 purchase. And then on the back page, Kathy advised me she has no personnel items today, so that can be scratched from the other business. Chairman, those are my updates for the agenda.
With those changes and additions, I'll move the agenda.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approval of the consent agenda, the minutes from 4/26/22. Approve the auditor warrants, 4/29, 5/9, and 5/10 of 22. Approve the commissioner warrants with the add-on warrants of $20,175.63. Approve the hospital warrants of $645,672.29. And approve the April 22 treasurer's report.
Mr. Chair, I'd move for approval. I'll support that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Nick, you're up.
Good morning.
Hi, Nick.
Morning.
All right, first up for me today is project updates. First update I have is for the 2021 gravel crushing project. I understand it was done in 22. We called it 2021 because they had the option to start last fall if they wanted. So that work has been completed now. Everything went well. We actually ended up sending our excavator out there during the process and found that there's like another, on average, 13 feet of gravel below where we mined to. So I don't know what to think about that. So I don't know, you know, we probably have an option of mining out of water to get all that more material. So I'm gonna do some more thinking on that, but you'll hear more on that. But either way, that project went well. So next update I have is for our 2022 overlays, and that work started about an hour ago. So we are underway on that. So that's good news too. Then the last project update I have is the Stone Arch Bridge rehab. We've been talking with MnDOT and our consultant about moving forward, and we think they're going to find some money for that. So if all goes well, maybe we could even let that project yet this year, with work to start next year, so. That's good news. Good news. I'm happy about that, so. Next for me would be the MnDOT Master Partnership Agreement. You probably remember this from years past. Every, I want to say it's like 5 years or something like that, we have to sign this. Just kind of outlines how we'll work together on different stuff. Main thing we use it for is like our materials testing. We could either hire a private consultant for, I'm sure, a lot of money, or hire MnDOT for what's a little bit less money. Or we could spend an insane amount of money and do it ourselves, but I mean, it's gonna be way cheaper to work with MnDOT for like material testing. Dave would have approved the last one, so he was a little bit more familiar with this than me. I read it, nothing jumped out at me as seeming out of place, but I thought, well, I should ask them anyway, and you know, their response was that, you know, it was mainly just formatting changes, nothing significant, so. The last agreement was signed, by the engineer and the administrator. So I guess if that's, if you have any questions, I can certainly reach out to MnDOT on that, and get back to you, you know, follow up at the next meeting, but it sounded like they'd like to have this signed by June, so, you know, so they can finish processing on their end, but,
Mr. Jared, move for approval.
One second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
right. Next up for me would be approving the quotes for 2022 maintenance striping. We would like to go with the low bid from Sir Lines a Lot LLC. It sounds like a new company, but that's actually AAA striping. I had to call on this because I thought, well, it seems a little odd. But you might remember the name AAA striping from the past. I guess it sounded like it must have been two brothers that owned it or something, and they sold out to the kids or the employees or something like that, and they changed the name to this. So you won't see AAA anymore. You'll see this one in its place. We've done a lot of work with AAA in the past. I have no concerns. So we sent this out to, I don't know, half a dozen different companies or something, and these are the only two that submitted a bid on it. So I would recommend going with the low bid from Sir Lines a Lot LLC for $28,389.15.
I'll make that a motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Some of the discussion we had up in Minneapolis about the lines are getting more and more important with the cars that use them to source their lane position and things like that. So,
Oh, like the autonomous vehicles?
yeah.
Okay.
I'll just get the sensors and so forth too, just
Sure.
for lane.
Okay. Well, I guess if it comes to that, we generally do it every 3 years, but you know, maybe it's something we'll have to upgrade that to every 2 years or something like that. Just do
Something
half
to
the
keep
count.
aware of.
Yeah.
Something to keep aware of.
Yeah, and they claim that, you know, like the biggest bang for your buck safety wise is traffic striping. I don't know where that comes from, but that's the claim. So
Yes, I did. Yeah.
On a rainy night, striping is important.
It is, yeah, very. And maybe we need to go to wider striping too at some point. So
They did talk about that. We go 4-inch now?
Yep.
They're talking about 6-inch.
Right.
But
yeah, I think that'll probably be required eventually. But
eventually, yeah.
yeah. And if you ever see any 6-inch striping around and you think you'd like the Pipestone Company to switch over to that, I have no opposition to it. It costs a little bit more, but it helps.
You know anywhere that has it?
Nothing comes to mind right now, but
I'm sure Rochester has it where they have that loop with the car running on it autonomously. But
Okay.
that's not working out as well as they thought.
State roads, they might be 6 already. I'm not sure, but yeah.
Nick, have you heard anything recently about the grinding of the lines in so they're below the surface? Is that something that they're still doing, or?
Yes. I personally am not that big of a fan of it because I found out on, I think it was on Highway 59, they did that over by Slayton, and I was driving on it right after they did it. You know, it looked beautiful, but it was raining that night.
Yep.
And my personal experience was that rain kind of sits in that trench a little bit, and then you can't see the lines at all. You know, it like takes away the reflectiveness. So I'm not necessarily convinced that it's better, but that's just my personal opinion.
I feel the same way.
Okay,
I
okay.
really do. Plus, it just is one more place to introduce moisture into your,
Yep.
into your surface.
And it costs a lot, and then every time we'd seal coat, we'd have to redo that. So, you know, every 6 years, you probably have to redo the center. You know, we had some of that on the edge, like the ground in on the edge. Well, you can stop your seal coat shy of that and not cover it up. But, like, I don't know. I personally am not sold on it.
So that the blade from the snow plows wouldn't wear it off. Well, I think you can restripe.
That's where I'm at with this. Yeah. I drive all of our roads every year when we're determining which roads to stripe, and it's somewhat easy because, like, well, if you're gonna do any type of surfacing project that year, well, you kind of take those out for consideration, and then, like this year, I drove all the rest of them, and I kind of rated them what I thought, you know, 1 to 5, 1 being garbage and 5 being fantastic, and
Uh-oh.
Blue screen.
Of death.
I was gonna say the last part.
so that's how I do it every year. Our policy says we'll shoot. I think it says we shoot for every 3 years, but that kind of depends on need. You know, like for example, like curves, put a little bit more weight onto those, and then, you know, if you get some of the toss up roads, like they could be done this year or wait a year. Well, we might kind of group it where the other roads are at, you know, for mobilization reasons, you know, so they're not driving all over the county, and we'll take things like that into consideration as well.
Another question, I'm not necessarily advocating it, but have you looked at us having our own equipment and doing our own striping? I would assume that this is much cheaper to contract it.
I have not priced that out. If you ever see that truck on the road,
Yeah.
you know, that looks like one heck of a big machine and complicated machine, and
Well, I'm sure it can be done with lesser technology, but again, are you gonna get the same product? And
Oh.
what labor would it take to do it? If we had our own, you know, like the old days, they used to just have little,
so I've seen these little paint trucks.
yeah.
We used to require temporary striping on like our overlays. Well, actually, you still might see some of that from time to time, but that is not, I don't like that. You can't hardly see it, and I don't think it's any good myself, but.
Any
So,
further discussion? Okay, if not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
next up is just a culvert restocking order. These are our 2 normal bidders. As you can see, they were pretty close. I put down that we budgeted 45,000 for this, but we sell most of them anyway. So, so yeah, we won't use all these for ourselves. You know, we'll sell most of them. But I'm fine with either of these suppliers, so I would recommend going with a low bid from True North Steel for $25,212.80.
I'll make that a motion.
I will second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
All right, moving on, I have some maintenance updates and miscellaneous. For maintenance over the last month, we pumped some water. We had some frozen culverts that were gonna either overtop the road and start wearing that out, or we pumped, so we pumped in places we could. We applied that mastic material that we bought, so hopefully I will know this morning yet what how that's starting to turn out. We had some really deep, really big cracks up on County Road 10. That's why I wanted this stuff, because I didn't know that the overlay would. I was afraid there'd still be a bump there when we were done, and there might be, but I'm sure it'll be a lot better with this stuff. So I'll know shortly on that. We did some sweeping, some snow plowing. Got some beaver dams by Hatfield that are causing some problems. One was in the right of way and had our big box culvert most of the way plugged up. So the neighboring landowners took care of the beavers, and we went out there and we took part of the dam out thus far. But hate to rip those things out all at once, because that's sending a lot of water downstream in a really quick hurry. So with all the crazy wind we've had lately, we've had a lot of down signs. I'm sure that doesn't come as a surprise, but we've been dealing with that too. Then my last item, as you recall, we're going to do some patching along the railroad by Holland, and I was just contacted by the railroad last week. They're coming through there, working on this stuff, so they're going to have to cut part of our new patch out, and they said they're going to replace it, and the crossing is going to be at the same elevation, but it's going to look silly that we do this work and then they come in and they tear part of it back out right away. But he was saying 3 to 5 feet on each side, so I don't. Hopefully people won't even notice, but that's what's going on there. Then we also added on a patch on County Road 10 west of Highway 23. If you recall, we did a culvert there that was really deep a number of years ago, and that patch it's settled a lot over the years, and it's really rough, and we always intended to rebuild that section of County Road 10, so we didn't want to stick any money into that patch just to rip it right back out. But with the loss of funding and that project keep getting kicked back, we really need to do something to it to help with RIDE, because it's really bad. So this contractor said that they would run up there and patch that too. So that'll be, the end of this contract, that'll be a little added cost to it, but I don't know. It needs to be done. We had an engine failure in our roller, so it's not something we can do ourselves anymore either. But so that's where we're at with that. But I just wanted to give you an update that if you see them up there on County Road 10, that's what they're doing. So outside of that, that's all I had for today. Does anybody have any questions for me?
In regards to the railroad, I wouldn't feel bad about that. It's not like they share their work plan with you. You had no idea of knowing what their schedule was. So no.
And even if we did, there wasn't really anything we could do about it anyway, because doing County Road 8, we kind of had doing that whole road. It'd be different if we were doing that section next year or something. It would work out great, but then they'd have probably delayed their work anyway. I don't know.
Any update on the bridge project then down by the state park? Well, now it's camping season starting.
They are still drilling on the south side. Hopefully they get done with that this week and they can move to the north side. The prime contractor is not happy. I've been copied on some email correspondence between the two. It's just that hard of rock. I don't know enough about drilling. This is the first project I've ever had. I don't know if there's a better way to drill, but they're spending a lot of time and resources out there, so they have to believe that this is the best way to do it, in my mind, for how long it is taking. But
And is this costing the county extra money, or this was a firm bid?
We
This is
pay-
not material?
we pay by the foot.
We do,
Yes,
not by the hour.
right. Not saying they won't make some type of claim later, but the bid is by the foot. So, yeah.
We haven't added any footage to the depth of the pilings. That's still what the original
Yep, we haven't changed the plans.
engineering was.
So maybe there's some other type of provision that adds or that allows them to, or I don't know, says that we need to add on to what we pay or something, but I'm unaware of it. So it's just one of those deals. It's a lot more complicated or a lot harder than what they would have thought.
Ever since I was a kid here, they've taught us about how hard the stone is. It's one of the hardest stones known to man, so.
Right, and
anybody who's
that's-
gonna do work should do a little bit of research on that.
Yeah, yeah, and we had boring reports that went with the plans, so
Right.
that's why we did those. I mean, they were expensive, but that's why you do them, so.
Does this contract have penalties built into it if they go beyond their
Yes.
projected deadline? Do you think they'll make their deadline at this point?
I don't think so. Yeah, we'll see on penalty. I don't know if I want to add insult to injury, but they're down there. They're down there working every day. They ran out of parts, so they sat idle for a week. But outside of that, they've been working all the time. So I don't know. Well, and I really think the prime is, it's really screwing up his schedule for the rest of the year. So he might, who knows, he might put some extra time in to try to make up for that. I don't know. I want to look at this whole picture when we're done. So
You can use it in negotiations later on if you have
yeah,
to.
yeah, we'll see. I don't know. It's not going as we had hoped right now, but yeah. So anything else for me? Otherwise, that's all I had for today.
I guess not. Thank you, Nick.
All right, sounds good. Have a good day.
Steve, you wanna flip the back side and do something?
Sure. Uh, 2022 first quarter budget report is in front of you. Take a quick look at that. Give you a copy of the information that I get from the auditor's office as well on there, so you have a chance to look at that. The reason independent audit is higher than normal is because we're still paying on the 2020 audit since that one just got finished. So there are bills included in that, so that's why that's at 63% already. We actually haven't started the 21 audit yet, so we're still catching up with the year before on that one. Other than that, everything's virtually on target where we'd really like it to be. And reason conservation is high due to money in, money out, grants, that type of thing. They're putting out their grant information. So other than that, I'm really pleased with what we're seeing. And if you have any questions, if you looked through it and saw anything you wanted to discuss, let me know. If not, motion to approve would be in order.
Okay.
Make that motion.
Okay.
Second?
Okay. Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
There's a second vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Yeah.
CPT agreement.
Step it over here. Yep, I included in the packet, an email from Gina. What they're requesting all the members of CPT to do is approve an updated joint powers agreement. What they did is they added a member list to the agreement, to make it a revision, and that's in Article 2.2 for the full listing of all the counties involved in CPT. So that's the only change, so I'd recommend approval as to the updated CPT agreement and allow Chair and myself to sign the agreement.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We got a few minutes yet. Use of the courthouse grounds for the Christian Music Festival.
Okay. Have a board action request in front of you. This is a second annual. They had it last year as well. Marge Ehrlich is the organizer of this. They're requesting to have the event on Saturday evening, July 30th, with a tent set up on the courthouse lawn in front on July 29th. They will be providing liability insurance to us. If there's any issues with that, I'll let you know. But we will require liability for the event, and also they'll have to have it on the tent that they're renting to, and the company will have to have liability insurance as well. So this, I checked with building maintenance with Wayne and Candy, and there were really no issues other than what I wrote here. It was kind of muddy, and the reason it was muddy is because we just got done doing the sidewalk project.
Yeah.
And that's when it started to rain, in July. If we'd had it in June, it would have been just dry. So that was the only issue we had, so there was some cleanup we had to do inside the building, but other than that, just goes with the territory. It was well attended, went till about midnight if I remember correctly, and had a good amount of people there. It was very good. A lot of young people were there as well. Seemed like it was a good event, so recommend approval.
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we grant permission to use the courthouse lawn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Stephen, you had checked the calendar, there's no conflict, nothing else.
That's correct, yes. There are no conflicts.
We might as well do the next one right away too.
Okay. Had a request from Pipestone Chamber of Commerce to utilize the courthouse grounds and also a small portion of the former Central School property across the street for the use of the Water Tower Festival. They're requesting set up on June 24th. Again, they'll have a tent in the lawn as well. We'll have vendors on the grounds. There'll be food vendors on the grounds as well, so we'll have to set up, the electrician will come in and set up the power board as we've done in the past. The cruisers, the car cruisers will be over on Second, across the street to the west, excuse me. And I got a message from Tom Steffes yesterday from the chamber, and they're requesting the use, if needed, for the Central School property. If there's overflow of cars for the cruising event, to park there. And if they need overflow of parking, there's not enough parking around the area to use that, weather permitting, and it's not,
Right.
A mud pit or anything like that. Not gonna tear it up or anything like that. And possibly a couple of porta potties over there as well on the grounds as well. So, this is all just in case.
Right,
So,
right.
figured I'd just bring it up right now. So, again, the parking for overflow over at Central School, possibly some car cruisers along the sidewalk over there, and a couple of porta potties, and maybe some activities or something. So, didn't see there was any reason to say no at this point. So, if the board would like to approve the use of the courthouse grounds and a portion, if needed, of the Central School property for the Water Tower Festival, I appreciate that.
Mr. Chair, I'd move for approval. I'll support that.
Okay,
It's a great use of the Central School grounds.
We mentioned the use of the green space plenty of times, so
Yeah.
absolutely agree.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you, I'll let Tom know.
And let's do the other one right away for the
Master
parking lot.
Gardeners, okay. Have a board request in front of you, contacted by Master Gardeners Group to use a portion of the courthouse parking lot on May 14th from 9 to noon for plant sale. There's nothing scheduled for the parking lot that day, and Wayne will work with them setting up space needs, barricades, whatever they need to do. So it'll be from 9 to noon, weather permitting.
Entertain a motion.
I'll move for approval.
Okay,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Keith,
Thank you.
Edison.
Morning.
Came down here today to talk about possibility of getting a third drug dog. Both our dogs we have are getting up there in age. Hopefully they have a couple years left in them. We have a deputy. We talked about the DRE program, drug recognition expert. One of our guys is interested in doing it. That is one of them deputies. Last year we did seize some drug money. We thought this would be a good use for some of that money. It ties in nice with that program. The dog itself is right around 7,000. We're not looking at the apprehension part, just with this dog, just the drug sniffing part. And time we get insert in a car, and Edison can explain the traveling, another couple thousand for hotel and stuff. It'd be between 10 and 12,000 probably total, which would all come out of that forfeiture money. I'll let Edison explain he's kind of in charge of our dog program, so.
Yeah, we're looking at the quote they gave us about $7,000 for the dog. Might be a little bit less depending on where they can get it and the fees these days with the airlines, getting them shipped from overseas. The one we have is through North Iowa Canine, which is where we've got our last three dogs, I think, from. So that's where we do our yearly certifications and everything. He would start looking for a dog for us, get one trained. It'd probably be in the fall is when it would be ready. We'd send a handler down there for 2 to 3 weeks to stay down there to train with the dog. The dog would be fully trained on narcotics and then tracking also. So if someone were to have an issue, get lost somewhere, a kid get lost or something, we would be able to use this dog to go find them. It wouldn't be a bite dog or an apprehension dog. It would just be strictly narcotics. So for the squad, we would outfit the squad. You know, we're looking at we have some squads on order. We'll be able to take equipment, put right into those, get those ready to go right away. So I think it'd be pretty easy for us to get going. And like you said, we do have our other 2 dogs. I have canine Sassy. She's already getting up at 9 years old. So about 10 is when they start getting retired. Hopefully she'll be working for a couple more, but you never know health wise. But this would get that extra dog going and be utilized right away.
Mr. Chair, I move for approval.
I will second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Question going forward then, so then we will use all 3 dogs at once now, so it'll be part of the rotation. So what do you anticipate in the future? A couple years, 3 years before we need to replace another dog? 2 years maybe?
We're hoping 2-3 years, and who knows if Edison will get another dog. It's a lot of work.
Yep.
I mean, it's to train these dogs. It's a lot of work.
How about veterinarian services? Do we do that locally, or does that have to go down to Iowa as well?
No, it's local.
Yeah, my dog goes to the vet here. The other dog goes to the vet in Edgerton.
That's a handler's decision.
Okay.
So.
Yep.
Very good.
I just think this program's worked really well over the years, and obviously they've gotten really good dogs through them as well. So.
And what kind of dog do you think?
Yeah, it's kind of up in the air. You know, we're looking for another Malinois or a Dutch Shepherd.
Yep.
When I got Sassy, he went through 3 or 4 dogs before he found the right dog. You know, so kind of the breed's up in the air. We give him what we're looking for. He'll go find his breeders from overseas. They'll send some dogs, and then we get to kind of pick at the end what's available.
Are they bilingual dogs? No, just teasing.
Oh yes, actually.
They kind of are. That's why they're trained.
Some are in Dutch, some are German, all different languages.
Okay, any other questions? Not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's right back on track.
Yeah. Okay, we'll finish off the back page, I guess, Steve.
Let's do the Southwest PIC renewal. Chairman Nath is the Pipestone County member of this group. They did send this for reapproval. I'm requesting that the chair sign this along with the joint powers representative board for the group. Plus, I don't recall really any changes other than dates on this. Do you require anything else? Remember anything else on this one?
No, it's pretty much just an update. Every so many years, we have to refile it, so
Chair, I'd move,
basically the dates.
I'd move for approval.
I will second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I think I'm right down the list. The next one you have behind that If you recall our last meeting, the board did approve applying for the grant for the ballot Dropbox program that the state office of the Secretary of State's office was putting forth. Have before you a resolution that needs to accompany that request, the grant request. And talked to Amanda, told her there's no reason for her to come down here. This is just basically just approving the grant, so we can send this along with it too. And it's just taking information from the grant information, what we're doing. Remember, just to refresh your memory and the public's memory that will watch the video here, that there's an appropriation of approximately $2 million to local units of government to implement provisions of Minnesota statutes 203B.082, which is in the elections security portion of the elections information. For a 24-hour ballot drop box, they have $15,000, up to $15,000 available per drop box in grant funds. And the grant application needs to be in by May 16th. So we want to make sure we're sending this signed resolution along with that. We're putting on the grant right now, since we don't know the cost, and other counties are doing the same. We're doing a to be determined, or a TBD, on the grant instead of putting dollar amounts in there, so that at least we're in compliance with getting it in on time. Remember too that there are several potential changes to election law that's in the House and Senate bills right now going through, that we won't know how those pan out until the 22nd or 23rd of this month when they end the session. So we'll have more information on what actually passed and what didn't and what we have to do. So that's another reason we didn't put dollar amounts in there. But remember, we have the box, so we'd be putting in dollars for connectivity, cameras, monitoring, data storage space, that type of thing. But there is information, part of that information that they're putting forth in the state and House is there's even a section in there about sending our data to MINIT, M-N-I-T, which is the state's program to store that data. And I don't know how that's all gonna work. I mean, we're talking terabytes of information from every county that's doing this. I mean, that's a lot of storage that we'd be talking about. So, but at any rate, all we're doing today is requesting that the board approve the resolutions. We can send that along with the grant.
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we approve resolution 592322.
Okay,
Second.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Steve, I recall then from our discussion last month on this, that we are not obligated going forward. This is just a grant application.
Correct.
We can reevaluate
Right.
at the time. Yep.
And remember that the grant is a reimbursement grant, so we would spend the money, send our invoices in, and then they would pay off of those.
Okay, all in favor of the said motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. All right. Next one, Auditor Treasurer Amanda Sandy sent down a request to hold a public hearing on a home tax abatement. She's recommending scheduling May 24th, 10 a.m. for home tax abatement for Mitchell and Nicole Nelson. It'd be in Gray Township, and the estimated abatement this time is $890. So recommending that the board schedule the public hearing for May 24th at 10 a.m. and we'll have all the pertinent details and information for that meeting.
Mr. Chair, move for approval.
Okay,
I will second.
okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And she will get this printed in the newspapers. Moving right along, next one is the RCRCA JPA language change. A copy of the information from Carrie on this. Luke is our representative for that organization. And they're looking at, updated their information for their grant application here.
It's just adding language. They would be the fiscal host for one watershed, one plan, and it just is recommended language from the state, I guess, to cover your bases for that, being the host for that program. Otherwise, everything else is unchanged.
Guess I'd make a motion to approve.
I will second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Next item I had on there, I don't have any written up information on this. Our past history is we have held our county employee appreciation grill out that the commissioners have provided in years past. I'd recommend we do that in June. Might have time, take a look at your calendars and see what would work for a June date.
How about the 14th?
Yeah.
I'd rather not doing it during a board meeting day.
Oh,
There's a lot of work that goes on ahead of time to do
Yeah.
that, so I would recommend we stay away from either the 21st would be,
21st, we have union negotiations.
do we already? It doesn't have to be on a Tuesday either. Last year I believe we did it on Thursday. So it
How
was
about the
later in
20th?
month.
if we'd done it on a Friday, we could eliminate the highway department, less cost.
They might not appreciate it.
I just said it as a joke.
Maybe a Thursday would be good.
Monday the 20th or something?
Monday.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Lou? Mondays are, it doesn't matter. That's fine. Just the day we don't really have meetings, that's the biggest thing. Then what works for your guys' schedule will be the biggest thing on this.
I would have Southwest pick that afternoon at 2. So it would work. I'd have to leave, skip out a little early.
I might have a meeting for Pipestone Area Coalition that day.
How about the 13th?
That would work. We're doing Board of Appeals that day,
Yeah, we have equalization at night.
that night.
Let's
That would
let's
work.
go with the
You're gonna all
13th.
be around that day then.
13th would work great.
13th?
Yep.
Sounds good.
And then what time would that be?
I think we usually start 11:30 to 1. That sound right, Kathy? 11:30 to 1, 1:30, somewhere in there.
Be there about 11.
11
Yeah.
at least, yeah. Start grilling and
June 13th, we'll go 11:30 to 1 o'clock. And I'll get it scheduled over at EMS again. That works very well to have it over there.
Okay.
Okay. Perfect, good, thank you.
Edgerton Bakery was sold, but so
We can get buns from them
we
again?
still get buns from
Okay.
them.
Okay, with that, we're pretty much back on track. We'll take a little break until 10 o'clock for the bid opening.
farm, they wouldn't be allowed to.
Oh, for that trail across there?
Yes.
I don't know, were they talking about adding a lot of fill there? I don't,
They would almost have to,
I think in one area it would have to be built up at least 4 feet.
because there's a waterway that does go through.
well, that was the idea of the bridge.
How you guys
I thought.
doing?
I don't know, I've
I
never
don't
seen
either.
plans on that.
I've
I
never
don't
have
know.
either.
But I thought it was kind of a good argument.
Yeah.
but-
Yeah.
You bet.
Well, we're back in regular session.
Mr. Chair, I would like to make a motion that we put up for auction the old landfill that we've got, follow the same procedure that we've done before. It has to be identified, which it has been. We need to advertise it and put it up for a high bid. First we'll
Sealed
have
bids,
appraisal.
you mean?
Sealed bid.
Yeah, sealed bid.
Sealed bid, it won't be a live auction, sealed bid, just like we've done the other. And first we'll have to get an appraisal on it, which I believe is already underway. So I would move that we do move forward with getting this property put up for sale.
And second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
When the property is sold, though, just like with any other properties, we will still reserve the right to accept or refuse any and all bids. And also, the property will have to also fall into the conditional use permitting.
Right.
Kyle Creer would be the point person on that as far as what can and cannot be done out there as far as conditional use.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, I will go ahead and get the information started and all the paperwork ready to go and advertisements that we'll be inviting sealed bids for the property known as the old landfill, parcel ID 10.031.0100 in section 31 of Rock Township. We'll get that going, and as I get everything set up, I will get you the dates and times when we will open the bids.
Is there a reason why we can't set the date to open the bids now?
I just need to get my calendar set up, so
Okay.
I recommend just let me get that accomplished first, and I'll bring it back to you you've got it ready to go for me, I'll tell you when we're gonna do it, so I'll go to work on that.
Okay.
The 24th when we're gonna do it, I would anticipate it would,
14.
be either June 14th or 28th. At this point, it won't be no, I've gotta do it for at least 3 full consecutive weeks, so it'd be the 28th would be the earliest we could do this. And then we'll have all the information listed on the county's website, paperwork, you could download that. And remember, this is for public sale. This is, you guys are obviously invited to bid on it as well. And any member of the public can do the same thing. So we can't specify that it's just for the Sportsman's Club, and it's the way we have to do it.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. All in
That's
favor?
already, I think I've already got that. Dan made the motion, Luke seconded it already.
Yep.
So,
Just call the question then.
okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Mr. Chairman, you want to recognize if anyone from the group wants to speak at all?
Dave, Brad, anybody?
Come on up, please, Dave. Get you on the record and so we can hear you.
We got him last time.
You bet.
You have anything you want to report, so, or whatever.
You have any questions or anything you need to know? We've been progressing with some plans, trying to figure out where you guys are at, whether we were gonna do a lease or we're gonna do a purchase. So then we'll have to come together now that we know the purchase agreement is coming up, and then we'll put together our bid and submit that, in a timely fashion. Is there a timetable as to when the bids should be in by?
I will get that all organized and get my paperwork ready to go. I would anticipate, if everything goes according to plan, we would have the bids into the auditor's office by Friday, June 24th. And
Okay.
we would open the bids on the 28th. So what I did on the last one, we did 3 p.m. on the Friday before the board meeting, all bids to the auditor's office.
Okay. And we can present that earlier if we choose
Yeah,
to do so.
Yep, you can give it to any time before that. Until, you'll see the invitation, I'll put it in the paper and also be on our website as well, and I'll also let you know too.
All right, absolutely,
Shout
thank
when
you.
it's out. So,
Mr. Chairman, do you have any questions about prior use of the land?
Excuse me?
Do you have any questions about the prior use of the land?
No, we don't.
Okay.
We kinda know it was the gravel pit and knew what it was used for, and we're pretty much aware of it,
Okay.
so.
You know, we have to sell it as is and where is, you know. so-
Yep.
Come on up.
I just have a question as far as us, if we were to get the bid, when we might be able to actually start doing any kind of work out there if we were to happen to get the bid? Any kind of an idea?
After we take possession.
Well, right, but is it immediately or is it like, is there
A deed would have to be presented, by the county to you.
Okay.
And then you would still have to work with the county environmental office for conditional use of the property for what your plans are.
Okay.
And if for some reason, say you were successful and there was an issue with that and it was unable for whatever reason to be used as a conditional use, or the committee, the board, zoning board basically said, no, this can't work, obviously we would void that deal with you and you would get your money back. I mean, if there's any reason it were to fail, obviously we're not keeping your money because we can't sell it.
Right.
So, for that purpose. So it does have to go through the county conditional use permit process.
So if we look out to late August as a time frame to start doing something, if we were to get it,
I would think so.
that we could.
I think that would be safe.
Yeah, I think that would be safe.
End of July.
Cause that
August.
deed can't take very long to transfer that deed. I think that'd be a pretty quick thing, so it'd just be a matter of getting the conditional use
Matter of
permit.
getting everything scheduled for
Yep.
conditional
Bid
use
will be decided
hearings.
on shortly after the 28th, after submission.
Oh, that day of opening it'll be decided on.
Yes, yeah, we'll decide that, we'll decide on the 28th.
Deed process after that.
Right, then the county attorney's office will do the deed process, we'll get working on that right after the meeting on the 28th.
You know, maybe shortly after the 4th of July, it'd be set to go.
Good. Great, perfect.
And as you know, we had discussion whether, like I said, lease or sell and so forth, and then amongst ourselves and also working with Domain Sandy, it just seemed like this would be the cleanest way, especially with you guys putting buildings up on that, to have a lease on building. It's just gonna be
Yeah.
cleaner this way, so.
Yep.
I really, again, appreciate what you guys are doing. I think it's great, and I hope that you guys are the successful bidder on it, so. It's gonna be good for the community.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Going through all the work you're doing. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys.
I
Sorry
wish
with
it
you guys.
wasn't so complicated. It just so.
Rules are rules.
Yeah.
Our hands are tied on the moves we make.
We appreciate what you're doing. Thank
No,
you.
thank you.
Great projects.
Some publicity might be in order for you guys too, that, you know, you're hoping to purchase this guy, and
Yeah.
so other bidders might know that, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know who lives in that area or anything, but, you know, like I said before, the use of the land probably doesn't relate to much anything besides you and a solar garden, you know.
Yep.
And right now, solar gardens are kind of, on hold all around, so that's probably a good thing for you.
Our whole intention is that the whole community gets to use it, you know.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right.
You know, at least for the shooting and the police, the sheriff's department
Yeah.
and stuff. Everybody gets a chance to
Great.
use that land.
I think we're-
Looking forward to it.
Private.
Yes, we are.
Be nice to have youth programs.
Yep, oh, definitely.
Training and education and, you know, hunter safety, and if people are gonna be hunting or getting more permits, we've got a way and a place to train them well, give them, make them feel good about handling a gun to make sure that they're doing things safely, and a good place for the police department too. We're hoping to have a good
absolutely.
facility for them too.
We have to look towards our younger generations to bring them up to enjoy the outdoor sports and stuff like that, so they have to be, you know, a high priority in this, so.
We'd mentioned the appraisal process, and that again is a step that we have to go through, and we do use Tom Winter for our appraisal. And then that information is confidential, so that won't be public knowledge of what his appraisal is. So if you guys need to get your own appraisal, you'll have to go to someone else as well too when it comes to your bidding process, so.
Okay.
All right.
Absolutely.
That's all I have.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
This isn't like tax forfeited property, is it, that we have to sell it for at least the appraised bid?
Completely different.
No, totally different. This is just like we're doing with the North Hiawatha property. Follow the statutes, advertise, take the bids.
So the appraisal is for our benefit only?
Just for our knowledge. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, welcome. All right.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
guys.
Thanks very much,
Good luck.
guys.
You too.
I don't think so.
I know somebody took the county permit to carry renewal, and they had to go out there and shoot last Tuesday night or whatever.
Oh, yeah,
So,
yeah, they had another.
you know, it'll be a much better place if they have a restroom and whatever, and
I think they had 20 students in that class. They said it was quite a night.
Okay,
Let's go grab Wayne.
yep.
careful where you grab them.
There he is.
Oh, Steve!
He's here.
Bill was watching the camera.
Looks like they're done.
Well, that's the other thing, we'll have camera in Bill's office too. Once this is done, too. Is our security backup.
Okay, Wayne, you have the floor.
Okay, we can start, outside the building. Got two bids, Griebel and then, Olander bids. Bids aren't exactly the same, cause, Olander is putting, shank gables on the ends, and then, Griebels will be more like, family services. It'll be cement board all the way up. It won't have the shank.
The shakes give it a nice accent look.
Yeah. Yep. But there's quite a bit of difference in the bids, so.
And they're both cement board, right?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, Griebel's went up 2,500 with the cement board.
And timelines.
I don't know that.
The only thing I can tell you, I talked to Kevin last night when he dropped the quote off to me, is that the windows are 12 weeks out. So I presume anybody doing this is gonna be in the same
Yeah, that.
ballpark for getting any type of product.
What I'm looking at is timeframes to complete the project, labor-wise.
Cause yeah, just the windows itself wouldn't hold the project up. They could get those framed in and they could start doing the siding and so
No, you
forth.
can't.
No,
No, the windows have to go first.
windows would have to go first.
They can do some of it, they can get soffits and that kind of stuff.
No, your window flange goes behind the siding.
Yeah.
So, what do you
No
do? If you're
timeline.
building a house, you're doing the same thing,
Yep.
so this is
It'd
the,
probably be this year anyway.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think so.
would hope so.
I know Kevin Olander will probably be a little quicker than Mark Griebel, but.
But Griebel's cheaper, right?
Yeah. Got 66,361 and 79,754.
Mr. Chair, would you entertain a motion at this time?
Or do you wanna go through them all?
Let's take a look at all of them, so just,
Okay,
because all this needs to go together, so if you want,
Okay.
we can piecemeal them out too, but I just wanna make sure. So just to update your sheet, Griebel's original quote was 63,861. It is now 66,361, so if you wanna make that note on that sheet I gave you.
So then they'd be identical bids for the same.
I don't necessarily believe it's identical
they
bids.
aren't, I wouldn't say
We
they aren't.
didn't have a specification sheet.
I don't have one of those sheets either.
We specified we wanted the cement board siding. That was specifically what we wanted to do.
It was all put
But as
together.
far
Okay.
as, and the gutters we wanted done, how they're doing that. Kevin Olander is proposing their R-board at 3/4 inch.
Yeah.
And I don't know what Griebel is doing on that, but, and these would be Anderson windows. And obviously a new soffit system in there, but I don't know exactly
I
what.
think the foam board, we requested half inch.
Yeah, it was half inch.
And I don't know why Kevin went 3/4.
So if we specified
We
to
specified half.
Prairie Construction 1/2 inch, obviously that would be a deduction on there from 3/4 to half, whatever the difference would be,
Right.
so I presume that
Now,
would be a
Wayne-
lower cost.
We have the 6-inch walls, right?
Yes.
So 3/4 is probably overkill for
Yeah.
a 6-inch wall.
Yeah. Yeah, we requested half.
Yeah.
That's not gonna make enough of a deduct to be close in price.
I don't think so. And regardless, we'd still have to provide for the permit,
Yes.
Right.
350.
Right.
So Agreeable is still, in my estimation, going to come in less. And then hopefully these prices remain.
Well, the thing
Get
is,
'em
the
today,
quicker
we
we
got
can
'em today.
decide,
We
the
lock
quicker
it
they
in.
can lock in.
That's what we need to do, 'cause prices are going up. I mean, every vendor virtually told us May 1st they were gonna have increases, and they did. I'm not surprised.
Yep.
It's the game we're playing.
So are we gonna do each of these separate then? For
I
the
would think so.
various, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start with the general.
Okay. I'd move that we go with the low bid, 66,361.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I just have a few questions about basically the whole project in general.
Okay.
Because this kind of seems like it's moving kind of fast to me, anyway. I know you guys have been meeting about it for a little while and whatnot, but one of the questions I had a few meetings back was like, what's our 10-year plan? Like, have we projected future growth in our departments? Do we know which departments are growing, which are shrinking? Are we covering all of our bases with this project right here? Because when we started tacking these up, we're looking at almost $250,000 here, if not more. So to me, this is moving a little quick. Have any of those discussions been brought up? I mean, is it just who's all moving in there for departments?
Extension, and soil and water.
And is that gonna fill all of them, or is there gonna be
Pretty
extra
much so.
space still? I mean, for other offices, or?
This would hold them quite comfortably. This is 4,480 square feet approximately of space we have in there.
We're looking at spending almost $80,000 and running fiber to that, so are we just gonna stick with the one building? Is there any future growth, additions planned? Because that's a pretty big investment for fiber too.
Well, ideas that have been floated around to the possibility of maybe getting the FSA building, if the federal government were going to do a project like that, we would have room to put them there
Okay.
along one of the sides. That would
Although
be an
that would take
ultimate
a conditional
long-term
use
plan.
permit from the city though.
Excuse me?
That would take a conditional use permit from the city because of zoning.
Yes, of course.
So, just so that was clear that.
Yeah, it's not, everything's not a for sure, but, and the other thing is we're working with the federal government to see if that's even a possibility, that we can be working through a lease with them when they're ready to do it. So it's not a for sure we can do that, but there would be the way to progress with it, to utilize more space out there as well.
I know we've done a lot of updating here in the courthouse and stuff over the years, and you know, some of those were a lot of sticker shock with those too. I would say there were 3 little pigs building their straw, sticks, and bricks. Obviously, this one's made of bricks here, and to me, it's a pretty solid investment to move forward with. But are we dealing with straw or sticks with this other building? You know, is it worth $250,000 and paying all that, or having Wayne spend a half a day mowing it too, or whoever, because it's a lot of grass there too.
Yeah.
So that's kind of questions I have. Are we gonna, especially spending all this money running fiber and stuff into it, are we gonna grow there too and fulfill our other needs and space needs? You go upstairs and start talking, we're out of space here in a lot of places too. Are we fulfilling those needs too with this project?
Well, I think given the size of the building, you know, we've got a real good use for those 2 offices that we're leasing space for at this time. And we know that they really do need a different space. We don't have room here for them. As far as the cost of building a new building on property, we own this already, so we don't have to go out and try to buy. And as far as where to put it in other spaces, we would have to buy from another person. And cost of building right now we're estimating $250 to $300 a square foot. So a $225,000 investment in this building versus a $1.5 to $2 million investment for maybe 20 years might make sense. You know, that's something to think about too, is that our cost to build is extremely high. The bones on this building, the building's not falling down. I mean, the roof's in good shape.
So it's made out of sticks, not straw.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, it's a stick building. It's not a straw building. It's not falling down around itself.
But is this gonna last another 20, 30 years then? Is that what the feeling is? So?
Without a doubt.
With investing into it like this?
You're
And
gonna
also
have
in
some maintenance
response-
on it down the road. In that time, you'll probably be replacing doors and roof and things like that, but that's common.
Yeah.
30 years, you probably end up replacing the furnaces again.
But Chris, also in response as far as the fit, building committee and Wayne have walked through the building a couple different times with both water and soil and with extension. And it really looks like it's gonna fit
Has
well.
their opinion changed? Because I know early on they were not in favor of moving to that building.
Who was?
I know Kyle wasn't. But that's been a while. I don't know if things have changed.
I haven't heard that.
Okay.
Some
Well,
of
he
their,
expressed in that one meeting, he was not happy about that.
I think I did hear one comment about how they're comfortable where they're at.
Right.
The change itself was a little bit scary.
Okay. One of the biggest things for them to overcome, they sit kind of in a bird's nest now.
Yep. They're all gonna be individual.
They'll each have their own office. I think that's,
Oh, that's good. I mean, I obviously see all the plus sides of it. I just wondering, like, to me, this just seems kind of rushed along, and with the big sticker shock that I'm feeling right now, I just don't know if this is the right investment at this time.
but we get to use ARPA money for this.
For everything?
Yes.
yes,
Every line item on here?
Yeah.
Okay.
And for the same money, you could only build a 800 to 1,000 square foot building new. And this is 4480, you said?
And that was my other question too, is how much ARPA money would be able to be
Under
used on this? But if we're able to use it, I guess I am in support of this, but if this was coming out of general, I would not be in support of this project.
No, that's a good point.
This has no impact on the levy or the taxpayer.
no, this is general item, we can use that money for, and
And then you consider the fact that we're paying rent already now, so we'll no longer be paying rent, so.
Well, I brought that up back when I was on building grounds and I didn't feel that was right. I feel we should be able to fulfill all of the county needs here, and that's exactly why I'm bringing up, what's our 10-year plan? Are we gonna be able to fulfill our future growth
Yep.
with this project and this facility, or are we gonna be able to expand upon it? I have a lot of questions regarding that.
There's enough property out there that down the road with FSA, sure, we got some steps to go
Oh,
through.
with anything, yeah.
But we got the potential to grow.
Right.
And they could put up another storage building out there, a garage for some of their stuff.
I'd like to see that being used.
Because they've got vehicles that sit outside year round now.
Okay.
But all this is pretty much covered by the ARPA money.
yep, we can use all of that for that. I guess and Chris, I appreciate your comments. We've been trying to go through this. We've been over years now, actually
Yeah.
over a year, try to work through this, and your comments are very good. I mean, this is for the public to know too, but, you know, I know we did have a request from PDC for us to sell them the land for housing. They now have, in my opinion, they have picked up the Hill School property and have a great project going for them down there. I think that's a wonderful thing for them.
They already have other parcels that they haven't built on yet too.
Right,
So.
and for us, first thing is front and center in my mind is we own the property. We don't have to go out and try to find property for it. The building is in reasonable condition. It was I would say, pretty well cared for by Southwest Health and Human Services there.
And a few deficiencies that there were there are being addressed here with the new heating system and the trenching for the drainage and so forth.
And those were the issues.
And if
passed.
anyone wants more property, then of course the central school property will soon be available as well.
Yeah. And as far as connectivity goes, we still need to do it. Bill did look into leasing through SDN. It was like $36,000 a year, and it makes more sense to get it done, move it, bring it in from here. Plan was to bring it down 5th Street to 8th Avenue, and then 8th Avenue on the east side of the road. The west side's pretty full. So, and then bring it down there and bring it straight in.
Okay.
You know, that was the plan that Ingbarth brought forth. It's about virtually a mile.
Okay.
Well,
And see, and that was my questions. I didn't know if ARPA money would cover projects like that, and that's a pretty big bill right there to pay.
This is you know, connectivity and building. This is general infrastructure. We can use this money for it. Fortunately, the federal government opened it wide up because we are a small county and we receive less than $10 million, so we can use it for general government projects, which is anything that we do.
Okay.
So,
And the fiber isn't a new thing. We've done that before. We've run fiber to the blue building. We've run fiber out to Health and Human Services. So it's not a new concept of us owning our own fiber.
So you guys are confident that in 10 years that this is still gonna be working out good? We're
I am.
gonna fulfill our space needs and everything?
Yep.
Okay.
In fact, the 10-year is something that we talked about as well too. You know, when we talked about what are we gonna do with the building, we said, okay, we're gonna have this for a long time. Let's fix it up. So this isn't just a short gap. It is not a stopgap measurement. This is a long-term plan.
That was one of my questions, because to me, it kind of moved fast, so that, to me, it seemed
Well,
quick.
we just decided to do everything right away
Yep.
so that we knew what we had and we're set to go for a long time.
And didn't you mention it was gonna be similar to the other county buildings, so.
Right, the
in
look will be
appearance.
the same.
Yep.
Right, we had a motion and a second, and we got into discussion.
Chris, are those answering your questions?
Yes, and now I feel more comfortable moving forward on each of these one by one because I did have questions throughout the whole thing.
Excellent.
And again, I will reiterate the fact, since we are able to use ARPA money, I'm supportive of this with the confidence you guys are giving me that this is gonna last us 10 years and fulfill all of our space needs and growth and expansion. And I would be opposed to this if we had to spend our general funds on this.
And it gets our employees out of what I would consider an unhealthy situation
I agree.
in their current facility.
That's why we've been wanting to address this issue. So.
For the mechanics of this, do we want to take action on proceeding with the project as a whole first before we look at the individual contracts? How do we want to do this?
That would probably make sense.
Okay.
Yes.
In fact, it was already motion on the floor, though. Can I make another motion at this point, or?
Should take care of this one, or
Or you could amend the motion
Yeah, you can amend it.
to add that you're gonna go forward with the project as a whole, and then also for the general,
Okay,
support the low bid.
okay. So we word that to the standpoint that we move that we accept Griebel's bid for this project, and also that we commit to move forward on this project as a whole. Okay, makes sense? Okay.
I would second that amendment.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Now, the amendment is the main motion.
right.
Se-
Now the amendment becomes the main motion, so
Yep.
we'll have to vote again.
Yep,
Okay, ready to vote.
ready to vote and call the question, yep.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, next up, we got, heating and air conditioning. We got two bids from that, Stout and Evink, and then, Quist Plumbing and Heating. Stout and Evink, no increase in their bid. They didn't have any increase. They're good to the end of the month.
Okay,
So theirs was $32,313. Quist Plumbing and Heating had 10% increase. So theirs is $42,326.90.
But Wayne, looking down one line then, the air exchange systems, Quist doesn't have any dollar amount for air exchange, so is that included in their full bid, or are we
No.
comparing apples to apples here?
No apples. This is just for the furnace and stuff.
Okay, but
The air exchanger, I got a separate bid for that.
but isn't the air exchanger actually tied into the furnace? It's two separate,
It is, but it's
Two
I
separate
got a
entities.
separate bid for it.
okay. And Quist didn't give you a bid for air exchange,
Nope.
okay?
I got one from Stout and Evink, which was $4,888
Yeah.
for the air exchanger. And that will go in the kitchen above the cupboards.
Okay. Well, Mr. Chair, I'll move that we accept the bid from Stout and Eving for the furnace and air conditioning system of the $32,313, the low bid.
I'll support that.
any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And there's no reason they can't start with some of the work.
Right.
You gotta vote on their air exchanger too.
Yeah,
I'll make a
But they
motion.
can take out air conditioners and stuff, get that out of the way for the tiling then.
well, and also have it all the way for the siding and stuff too.
Yep.
Okay, next up is the air exchanger, and we have just one bid, so.
I'll make the motion to accept Stout and Evink's bid for $48.88.
I will second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, for tiling the outside the building, we got two bids, Doubly Gravel and Wilbur. The bids are fairly close to being the same. Doubly Gravel is $9,800. And Wilbur was $96.40.
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we accept the low bid from Over Excavating and for the $9,640 to do the perimeter tiling.
I'll support that.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Do you want to do the fiber?
Well, we've
I
got,
don't have them.
Do we wanna do the atmosphere?
Oh, atmosphere, yeah.
No.
I didn't bring that with.
Was 26,000.
2,600.
2,600.
Or yeah,
That
2600.
would be 4 units, one for each furnace, same systems that we are having in our buildings here.
Those are those filter cleaners
Yep,
or whatever?
air cleaners, yep.
I'd move for approval for that.
and I will second that.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
All right,
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Now we can bring Bill up. Or you just wanna do the paint and stuff too?
Well, that's just
That's just a.
Oh,
a placekeeper for dollars.
Okay, right.
There's no bids on that. That's just an
come
estimate.
on up, Bill.
So
Talk about your fiber?
the fiber. I got a couple quotes from 2 local vendors, both of which we've done business with in the past. Ingbarth is 10,000 less. They both same materials, same boxes, everything. That would be my recommendation to go with Ingbarth.
And timetable to do it?
They gotta know, like right now, when
That's
when
what I
to start.
figured. They get into it.
They both said they have the materials in stock, but stuff is on the rise. And there's a significant amount of fiber is already spoken for. There's jobs everywhere, not just in the U.S. either, just everywhere going on.
And I suppose they got a permitting process to get under the highways and stuff.
A little bit. I don't foresee that being any kind of an issue. Both of them deal with that often enough. And there's be a city permit too. We did not get an engineer to do this, but we've done enough of these now. We know what we want, and we know where we want to be with it.
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we accept the low bid from Ingbarth then for the $76,884.
second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
All right,
Opposed? Carried. Believe that's it, isn't it?
That's it.
So you can notify some of these people and they can get stuff ordered. Some can start working.
Parking lot?
Yep, that's next. Yes.
Okay, we got the parking lot over there by the EMS building. We got 2 bids, double gravel and Wilbur. Double gravel come in at $17,250. Wilbur come in at $36,649.21.
this is in that grassed area.
To the north.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, it'd be 100 feet by 150.
Will there be access to the highway added, or is
There is
there?
an access
There
there.
is one already. Okay,
There's access there.
perfect.
Cutout is all there already, right? Yeah, we
This be
looked
done
at
by
it
the
one
grill
day.
out?
What's that?
Will this be done by the grill out?
That'd be nice.
Hopefully just not at the same time.
June 13th, June 13th.
No, I bet not.
Now, are you going to also put a driveway then to the south, coming to, or is it just gonna be out to the highway?
Well, it'll run over to the concrete parking lot
Yeah, but,
by EMS.
so will it loop through them?
They can.
Okay.
Yeah, you could loop it on the west end
That'd be
where
nice.
the transit building is. No reason it can't extend that around the pine trees that are there.
Yep.
We'd like to keep the trees.
We're keeping, yeah, the trees are staying.
It won't be that big, so. And the east side would be right up to the west edge of the generator. So that would be the mark.
Yep.
Because there is an easement between the neighbor's fence for power lines, underground lines. They're not gonna go into that easement at all.
Dedicated alley in there.
Yeah.
It's a dedicated alley, so it'd be just exactly at the very west end of the generator pad. And move it straight out from there, all the way to the blue transit building and parking lot, 100 by 150 out there.
Great.
It won't quite go all the way to the
Yeah.
south side building.
No,
There'll be a little grass strip there yet.
we've just noticed over time that the building is used more and more, having more meetings, more trainings. It's become a real useful building for
There's a
us
call,
and the
it's a
public.
problem.
Yeah, and there's not enough on-street parking at this point anyway. Fortunately, some people have been able to use the old Mayfair Motel area for parking as well, but we don't own that, and it's, I believe the McDonald organization, Leonard, I believe, owns that, but they've not said anything to my knowledge that, please don't do that, but we have used it, you know. But it would be nice to have our own.
Thinking out loud, in the future then, if we do actually get it paved at some point, will we have to do anything with drainage on this? I wonder if at this point, if we should actually put in some type of field tile or drainage system now before we bring in this crushed concrete.
It says graded to drain.
Yeah, it's gonna be graded to drain.
Yes, but once it's paved, it's gonna have more runoff once it's paved, so how is that water gonna run off there, if indeed in the future that we pave it?
Well, at the time you pave it, you could put in pipe.
We might have to put it, we might have to dig back down and put in some storm sewer at that point, once we pave it.
And who knows, maybe we'll like it like this.
Yeah.
This crushed concrete actually makes a pretty good surface, it really packs in nice. But still permeable as well too, so.
Right. Mr. Chair, how come there's such a big difference between the two bids? Is it just availability of product or the use for the black dirt or just, it just seems a lot to me. More than double.
Yeah. I think part of it, I believe that Wilbur was gonna be using some rock.
He's
for
gonna
part
use
of it.
rock.
Yeah,
Yep, for the first layer, he's gonna use rock.
yeah. Whereas Double D's using crushed concrete for all of it, and
Yeah.
Double D owns all his own crushed concrete
said
already.
so.
You know,
So
I
it's
think that might,
Probably the availability of the material close enough to,
Yeah.
but I don't have anything against either company, but just,
No.
seems
I
like a
think
lot of
it's that
difference.
stark of a difference, yeah.
With that explanation, I'll make a motion to accept Double D's bid.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.